Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm honestly too tired to give this episode, but a sentence ran through my mind, which I felt that now I should say a few words on, to comment on before I sleep and the thought leaves me. So, anyways, this title came to me. God is the only animate concept that is its own context. And before I open that sentence, I wanted to say that, like a contribution of this episode, at least, one thing that I hope to achieve is to share this word called Divineling. And this is a strange term, but I thought that this could be used in general language, in general English language, as, or just as a universal idea for the type of ideas that their concept and context are the same. I have narrowed that for now into three ideas I want to share, three topics that really fall into this category where their concept and context are the same. But anyways, three Divineling ideas I will share. And I'll just say it now. One idea is the concept of God, which is very important to talk about and wonder about how we will approach it, how in the past they approached it, how in the present people approach it, and what it's going to mean in the future. You know, a futuristic concept of God would be as if would man have the capacity to become a god of his own domain. And the other point that comes to mind now about the future of the idea of God is that it's like, are we going to see robots praying in the future? Like, how far is this going to go? Are we going to see, like, I heard this, I don't know if it's true or not, but there was this article that certain people, their brains are in cryo chambers, as if the person didn't want to die. So in some sense, they died, but their brain was frozen so that it becomes reanimated, right? So the future, of course, that's the whole point of the future, is that it's a surprise. And a surprise means that the familiar has gone away, or there is something unfamiliar that has entered the realities, the perception of the person, of reality in that system. So, anyways, the three ideas, Divineling ideas, where they share the same concept and context. God is one. Another term would be emptiness, and the final one I have come up with, and I think I have energy enough tonight to speak about, is space. These three ideas are very interesting in the sense that when you think about, okay, what is it, right? This way. And by the way, guys, this episode is, let me see how I can phrase it. Pretty much I'm treating it as this YouTube channel for now as a journal, as a notepad. So I'm to think of it this way, I'm just sharing vocal notes. But those who are here for a main episode, okay, here, I'll say this to satisfy people and then satisfy the cyber viewers. Okay. There's so many ideas in the world. The nature of the human being. First of all, there's 8 billion of us. We're on a rock. We are on what appears to be a rock in the middle of nowhere. The species gained the capacity to speak and communicate, and that opened up a sort of multidimensional relationship with reality. And this relationship is pretty much how what we see has transformed into language in a subjective domain. right? So it's as if there's the one objective event taking place, and then our attention has suddenly appeared in the realm, and we're looking at this objective event. But due to the capacity of memory and abstraction and visualization, and just the whole faculty of the mind, the world moves in us differently, right? And as human beings have, let's say, searched and explored reality, what they have come to find is that they have used symbology to localize it, right? So, anyways, so these human beings, these human beings, you know, my hardworking ancestors. Oh man. Anyways, we created a world inside a world, and we're using the subjective world to pinpoint and clarify the objective world. Many scholars eventually realize, and those people who truly care about knowledge, okay, there's let's say a certain amount of people who knowledge for them is just like it's like an object they want to have, right? But I would say knowledge is something where you want to get to the bottom of truth. Pretty much what it means is that it's as if what you're looking at, you want to see it as to the highest capacity as it is, right? That's the whole thing about it, the nature of our attention and our perception. I even have a relationship, I would tell you, tell the listeners, with my inner realms. And I could say it's more of a recent development, but my attitude towards my mind was that I started wondering what if thoughts were alive, okay? And I would say this would go into the advanced divinity subtitle. I'll get to this more at the end. But anyways, the aim of this episode is to say we human beings are living in a world filled with ideas, or what we call ideas. Okay, these ideas are very fascinating. For me, it's as if you could watch an animal, right, in nature. Let's say, like, I don't know, a lion attack a gazelle, right? And that there is, like, even though it's like not good for the gazelle, but it's still an advanced event. Okay. Now, what I would say is that if you look at ideas or thoughts, the same way a lion, let's say, bites into a gazelle, the same way an idea, or let's say a lion possesses that gazelle, the same way an idea can possess a person, right? And we may, like, there may be so many people acting very enlightened in reality, but really it has nothing to do with a single state in a changing world. Let me tell you why. Because oneness is archaic. It's an archaic finding, do you know? And its value is still there. I mean, sure, you could be a human being and say, all right, life is just one moment. That's all I can handle, you know? But the sophistication of what we have, and our ability to discriminate between what is an inner phenomenon, what is an outer phenomenon, and what relationship does this create, you know? Anyways, I had to get a drink of water, guys. So, similarly, a lion bites a gazelle. Ideological systems also possess what is in their environment. You know, it's as if an ideology needs a human brain to stay alive in, right? Or it's as if what we keep in our memory becomes what we gift the future generations of, let's say, the human enterprise. Now, when it comes to the concept of God, this is something that if you look at it culturally, what people have done in the name of God, sure, you could dislike the idea. But if you look at it as a philosopher, who are, to me, philosophers are like designers in language. Do you know? They are like inventors of conceptual positions, and there is really no inventing conceptually. Let me tell you why. Because there is something happening. It's as if there's something happening. Like imagine musicians playing an instrument, and you enter the room and you start hearing that music for the first time. So similarly, we have opened our eyes in a reality that is in a changing world, really. And the event, this changing world, it's it's as if it's being the source of our visible virtual meaning. That means if you wonder where thoughts come from, it's as if light entered the eyes, hidden object entered the eyes of a human being, and in the mind, in the inner realms, reflected, hit language. Do you know? It's as if it's really an echo of visual reality to some degree. And then this echo of visual reality can be kept by memory and then readjusted. It's strange, but I think the reason a lot of human beings are fascinated by science fiction is because we can fathom the future even though we're not there. We can fathom, a time machine, but we can't. We haven't built one as a species. So in our inner realms, we take it gifts us. We open the gift of light, and what we find is another subtler level of reality engagement. Now, to the concept of God. And again, I'll say this, my apologies, dear viewers, I am incredibly tired right now. But I feel like there's more to uncover about this notion, so I'll just ride through. So pretty much, I'm trying to paint this picture for the listeners that there's an inner reality, there's an outer reality, which means that there's an inner life and an outer life, and this inner and outer life is taking place in a changing world. Now, if we were to wonder about reality's, let's say, meaning, okay, we would see, or let's say it like this, what is what is one idea in which, if you really concept and also expand the context, it will be the same. Imagine as if a conceptual wondering of reality, or when you wonder about, okay, how far can a concept go? I mean, you're led to the context. You're like, what does the concept mean? The context implies it. You know what it is? It's like this. It's as if you wonder about where is man, you say man is in the world. Okay? But if you were to wonder about where is God, the concept of God, God is the world. Do you see the difference? You know, there is in religious writings this idea that man is made in the image of God. Now, when you look at the image of man, right, we see this whole inner realm, outer realm distinction. Now, when you look at the inner realms, a person's mind, that is like a taste of some sort of godhood. Okay, I shouldn't say godhood as if it's like it's a character trait, well, like it's as if our minds are give us an ability to not be limited by what we see in the outer realms. That means, like right now, as I'm giving this talk, I'm looking at this bottle of water in front of me, right? And I haven't moved to grab the bottle of water and drink from it. But in my mind, literally by just looking at the bottle of water, I can visualize myself doing that. So that's what I mean. It's as if in the inner realms there is a limitlessness, or there is less limitation than the outer realms, right? Now, if you, let's say, fractalize this idea and see its parallels to how man is made in the image of God, you know, or if we were to reverse it, how is God made in the image of man? It would be as if God would be the mind of the universe. It would be the mind of existence. You know, it's as if sometimes we think about reality, we think about it in a static way, so we're like, all right, you know, this is what the truth is. You know, sometimes it's either like a photograph or a film, right? But it's as if without movement we wouldn't know what is static. I think I need to drink this water now. So God is its own concept, is its own context. When you wonder about man, the idea of the human being, okay, that's its own concept, let's say. But when you wonder about the context of the human being, you can't ignore the world and the universe. You know, I'm wondering that if we take a novelist's perspective, and let's say you start creating uh, a fictional reality. So you close your eyes and you wonder about this character, you know. Let's say let's say you wonder about the future, like the first android that, you know, uh, was walking in the streets like a regular person, and let's call it Robo Bob. You know, so let's say we create that character. So now that character in my mind, imagine it becomes aware of me thinking about it. right? I would appear as a god to it, you know? And it can never be aware of the creator in the same way the creator is aware of the creation, you know? And the fact that we have even the concept of creation, that's mind-boggling also, you know? You know, that means why wasn't it more natural to just, you know, feel that it was infinite from the beginning? That means no beginning, no end. Why wasn't that the normal? You know, I mean, of course, we identify with the bodies and we're born and we die, but I'm thinking about if the mind is not an object, you know, why is our finite body setting the standard of our, let's say, transcendental or multi-layered perception, you know? You know, I have this very cool feeling right now. Even though there's, you know, a lot of information our species has, but we still, excuse me, we still haven't solved the problem. You know, we still don't know what we are. We know where we are because we defined it, but if we were to have the same attitude, that means the only way to find the truth of what you are is by being it. There's no other way you can find it, right? Which means there is no past to it. That means it's as if, like, what would the meaning of life be if there was no past? And when you think of the creation of reality, like that it had to begin somewhere, right? That means there was no past, and then a future happened, and then there came a past, right? So the concept of creation needs the future first, do you know? And I don't know if like the way I'm seeing this idea in my inner rooms, I'm relaying it properly right now, but the way I see it is that there had to be the first step. Okay, um, there had to be an advancement towards the future before there could be creation, right? Which it could mean, at least to me, that the concept of things starting, things ending is flawed. It could be that duality is the greatest blindfold the mind has ever known. What can I say? We're living in a world where we have the idea of space, the idea of emptiness, the idea of God, the idea of like life, the idea of death. It's as if it's very surreal. But when I wonder what, like, surreal to what, it's like, you know what it is? It's like a singular. It's like a singular truth. Uh, it's like a singular truth, um, covered with duality. The duality is covered by infinity, and the infinity is covered by the void. So that means it's as if, like, a human being is born like in an individual moment, like in a singular moment, and then the person's like, okay, I got to do something. When the verbs come in, when the action-oriented view comes in, duality is automatic. Now, once the duality is continued, it leads to infinity. That means it's like once you have chaos and order, you can have infinite, so many different types of chaos. You can have so many different types of order. Like that list could be endless, right? There is this quote I want to read. I made a note of it here. It's a quote from this mystic by the name of Sadhguru. He says there are many ways to attain mukti or ultimate liberation through pure energy, awareness, absolute selflessness, or devotion. Devotion is the quickest way. If we take ultimate liberation as the most advanced state of being, I mean, if there's anything related to any sense of being, it's energetic. And so it does make sense that a person, let's say you don't know any language, you don't know any culture, you don't know anything, you're just like a creature. As a creature, having a relationship with your own energy and how your energy is present in, let's say, an energetic universe, sure, you can reach the most advanced state through that. Awareness is really, I would say, for our time right now in 2021, and just the whole planet needs awareness. It's as if like the planet needs self-awareness. That means creatures on the planet have to become aware that they are the planet on some sense, in some sense. That means right now, like, who's giving this podcast? It's like the periodic table, uniquely due to genetical coding organized, and then something is literally piloting through this genetical code, something. It's as if the free will has a mind of its own. And the reason I'm reading this Sadhguru quote, guys, is because in the subtitle I thought of like, okay, let's try to approach the idea of what would advanced divinity look like. And to me, there were like, I have pretty much this attitude that this whole world is filled with stories, and if you commit to the story, your worldview gets set, right? And eventually, if you want to be a person in this world, you have to choose let's say, a worldview where your whole intelligence reflects off or like acknowledges. Do you know? That means it's as if, believe it or not, it takes a lot of energy to be nothing. Can you imagine someone being like, I got tired of being nothing, existentially? Okay, let's go. Let's continue. Sadhguru says absolute selflessness. I would say if a person is being selfish, that means there's an effort to preserve a certain sense of being. Okay, it's an ideological self. Usually, people who get angry, people who fight, people who are, in the dance of chaos and order, there's a sense of self there that's suffering. It's as if I don't know anybody who, doesn't have a sense of self and suffers. You only suffer when there's something there to suffer, and that's like an ideological position. So, absolute selflessness. I honestly, in my life, I don't know, like, if you were Buddhist listening to me, I don't know, okay, in past lives or what happened, how my eyes reanimated, but I know, like I knew something as a kid, that there were certain moments that I shouldn't touch. And when I say certain moments I shouldn't touch, this is not anything to the outer realms. This is acting in accordance to a thought that comes first. So what it is imagine thoughts can pull you, right? And thoughts, when a person, let's say the biological body is in disturbance or there's some sort of cultural tension or something, what happens? People's stance against thoughts that come and go weaken, and then the thoughts can influence them, can become them. It's strange. It's as if in Greek mythology, like Zeus could become, what do you call it, like an eagle or something, or Odin could become a crow. That's Nordic mythology, but like these gods could become what they thought of, right? But man can't become his thought, but his thoughts can become him, right? That's the fascinating thing about, I would say, human behavior. You can like a person, and the moment they do something wrong, it's as if you never cared. So the thought can possess the moment, right? Now, selflessness is a person who I would say has realized the weight of suffering. They have realized, like, that some moments, if you act um, with an ignorance of the outer realms, then it's as if, like, uh, the thought that you acted on, that takes you for a karmic roller coaster, something like that. Being selfless is actually very easy, do you know? And it's the moment you get rid of the concept of winning or losing, just for a moment. I mean, not forever, but let's say you don't have this sense of winning and losing, and you just become sensitive to, you become life sensitive, and in some sense, how would I say? It's like when you see what is alive in the moment more important than any ideology or any ideological system, then it's very easy to be selfless. But if there's a value system that's constantly playing whack-a-mole with, like, morality and what is right and wrong, then it's very hard, you know, to be selfless, right? A person trying to be good, that's very difficult to be selfless. I don't know if this is back. So, anyways, guys, the laptop somehow worked. I don't know if viewers can hear me, but I think it's working again. Anyways, oh, okay, people can hear. Anyways, guys, this issue can happen again, maybe. So, just to be safe, I'll tell the viewers thank you for listening. But I'm gonna go as far as it's gonna work, and maybe I don't know, maybe in a couple minutes it might have issues, or maybe, it's gonna be fine. I completely lost my trail of thought, but pretty much I had this intent where I'm like, okay, the idea of God, maybe there's a significance to why it's stuck around so long. Maybe the destiny of the human being is to reach a certain point where, rather, if you look at the notion of cause and effect, right now the human being free will is like it's like in a very small percentage we can actually control what happens, right, compared to all the cosmic activity that's happening, right? So the human being is under the effect of pretty much everything, the environment, the words you hear, the sounds you hear. It's as if these are forces that are having an impact on the person. Now, if you think about the notion of God being its own concept and context, that's pretty much saying God is its own cause and is its own effect. So it's as if a person having a causal relationship with everything. That means right now I'm giving this talk, I'm having a causal position, but like me hearing the sound of the air conditioning, I don't know if the viewers can hear it, but it's as if I'm under the effect. It's as if that event, that the sound of the air conditioning is happening, and then it enters my ears, As long as there is the small, big contrast, we cannot be in the ultimate causal position. I feel just in duality it's impossible because the notion of the effect is there. But if you look at the idea of like God or singular views on reality, that's just like primary a causal position. It's as if like God is being the world, is being everything that's happening in it. It's as if a religious person looks at reality and whatever happens, they're like, look at God's will today. This is what God has willed. This is what is destined, right? So it's just full singular causal position, right? And I think it does make sense that why the path to God has to be submission, right? Because I don't know if many people know this, but religious systems, you submit. That means you put away your sense of self and take the tenets or enter that ideological structure, right? And it does make sense in the sense that dualistic is like let's say you look at duality, that equals suffering. You look at like oneness, this notion of the singular, that's kind of like bliss. You know, that's like yeah. I think the notion of the view of the concept of God is very alluring because it is an animate singularity. That means emptiness, space, those are inanimate divinelings, you know. They're inanimate notions that the context and context are, the concept and context are the same. God is the only animate concept where the concept and context are the same. You know, one can have this view that there's so many different perceptions and ideological systems, or we can, and that the human idea is at the center of it, right? Because I sometimes find it humorous that, like, what was it, like Galileo found the four moons of Jupiter, and that kind of suggested that we weren't the center of the universe, right? So it was as if, like, the religious authority at that time was like, how dare you not say that this earth is the center of everything, you know? But now, when you look at it from, in modern times, the scientific perspective, the idea of self, the human idea, is the center. That means we can't imagine revolving around, orbiting around an idea that is not the human. Do you know? So it's like the same thing where now mystics feel like how Galileo felt back then in secular society. you know? And really, I think the fear of our temporary lives has convinced us that it has to be, just one solution to the problem. And I never got to it, but devotion. How could devotion be a path towards the most advanced state of being? Devotion is another way of, like, in effect, reverse engineering into its causal position. I mean, all the four ways that Sadhguru mentioned in that quote, they're all reverse engineering methods, right? So pure energy, like an enlightened guy comes in, like, puts his thumb on your forehead. It's like, wow, I'm enlightened. That's one way, right? The other way is awareness, where you're noticing what you are, right? Which again is going back to the source. Being selfless. Sorry guys, I just thought of this statement. It's very hard to do things when you're selfless, when you don't have a self. sometimes I think life is like, why would 8 billion creatures even be here? And there's like, when I look at it from the physical lens, the purpose of life is to do something. It's a participation in the event of existence. You know, when I look at it, from the mind's perspective, it's as if the mind is nowhere, because the mind is what's generating the location, right? This is the mystery of, I would say, the biological brain, or I should say the mystery of the outer realms, where light enters our eyes and the brain is just doing its thing. And it's as if, like, when we look at something, are we seeing or are we seeing our brain happening? It's as if it's very hard to say that if we as creatures have ever had the capacity to see something that wasn't us, that wasn't or just the brain happening, Honestly, I don't know what will happen to uh, spirituality in the future. A part of me feels it's like it's going to archaically revive in cyberspace. You know, years from now, maybe like 500 years from now, true spirituality is going to archaically. I mean, 500 years is too much. Let's say you can take a zero away if you feel you need to from that prediction. But another way I see it is that we stop being an entity. Attention has no container because it became it. It's as if it's like there would be no more God in man. Or it would be a way where there would be no more people. And I don't know, it's like, can the human mind fathom dehumanized suffering? Or suffering of like a shapeless nature? It's like, can emptiness suffer? Oh man. What else can I say? God, emptiness, space. There's the body. That's one circle. Then we have the mind. Then we have the soul. The body's relationship with the mind. It can be a causal position for the body. You need to have a body before you have a mind. That's a school of thought. Another view could be is that you need a mind before you can be a body. And then you can even bring the soul into this. You need to have a soul before you can have a mind space, before you can have a body in it. It could be that rather than us being creatures on a planet, it's as if the beginning of reality was just intelligent space, or it was just pure intelligence, like an unfathomable intelligence, or energy. And then this energy created space to have something in it, right? We think like the concept of creation is in space, but if space could be created, and what was underlying that ability that created space before there could be a mind in that space? I think I'm going to say one of the most unique statements ever. Being cannot be. Being cannot be. That means prior to space, there's nowhere for anything to be. That means the secrets, let's say there was the most advanced ultimate state of being that the species was looking for, it would not only surpass physics, it would not only surpass metaphysical ideas and all the, let's say, cool, shiny storylines of what's happening in other dimensions, but it would dive into the source of space. That means it's as if don't meditate on an object, don't meditate on a subject, be where everything is being. Be where your intelligent event is. And this is still not, I feel that's not a perfect sentence, but I'll say it this way. After you have studied, okay, let's say there's a jar, and in this jar we have, I don't know, like jelly beans or something. Let's say you have marbles, which are shaped like planets in a jar, okay? And you open the jar, you look at everything inside it, you take out every marble, study it, right? You look at what it is, and then you hold the jar, and then you look at the jar from all the different angles you can, and then you look at your hands that have held the jar. Do you know? And that's where the story of searching for a truth stops. I can't see conceptually truth surpassing space. Do you know? That means what have the ancient books been saying? All the mystical traditions. It's like God is like, what's the term? Omniscient? No. Omnipresent. It's as if space is omnipresent. It's as if it's like the ultimate state is what's holding. That means it's like, oh my god, guys, the laptop's having issues. I just saw the screen glitch. I'll say this and I'll end. I feel an era of true mysticism is upcoming. I feel that we're all going towards a point where the brain may be maxed out. What I mean by that, the brain being maxed out is it's as if our inner realms function at speeds that make it meaningless to live as a body. And then automatically we will go into living as space. I don't know. Maybe in the future we're not in outer space. It's like after we've explored outer space and everywhere, it's as if, okay, what else left we can do? Be space. You know? And, that could be the epitome. That could be like the summit of the evolution of, let's say, awareness. That means we surpass a cyclical modality, a cyclical reality setting. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. I hope this episode